So the drama going around the WNBA's potential lockout, strike, work stoppage, whatever you want to call it, for next season took a pretty major twist in Indianapolis this weekend. The All Star Games in Indianapolis this year is going to be a big, big deal because Caitlin Clark has absolutely set the league on fire. Made a lot of people like me who never gave 2 seconds of attention to it in the past love watching her and the Fever and really nothing else in the league. But that's another story. The ratings and the attendance bear that out. They the WNBA Players Association, the players are wanting a lot more money. They're wanting a bigger part of all this new money that's coming in, even though it's only been responsible for one person. Um, and according and of course they're very open and outwards in talking about this. They've talked about it, and after the meeting, they said it didn't go well. They said the WNBA has failed to recognize what they're asking for, has failed to address what they're looking for, which is a transformational CBA, which I don't know what the hell that means. It was a big meeting that I think like 40 WNBA players, including Caitlin Clark, was there, who's not even a union rep, and Paige Beckers and Angel Reese and some of the newer people who are starting to bring in some ratings, and Caitlin Clark is bringing in 99% of the new ratings. They were there, and apparently not much got done. So I'm just going to break this down pretty simply for you. The WNBA has absolutely zero leverage. They are a money pit, and I mean a big money pit. They do not make money. They do not have enough national interest, even with Caitlin Clark there, because outside of her, you got 12 other organizations that are either losing money or not making very much money, not making enough to justify the investment into them and the issues that come along with that. Were it not for the fact that this is a charity league and has been a charity league since its inception in 1997, this league would have stopped a long time ago. And it looks like right now the owners are not budging. And the WNBA Players Association is digging their heels in the ground saying, well, we'll just have a strike and a lockout and a work stoppage, which, of course, would be about the worst thing possible. It's understandable because they've never had to operate under the guidelines of reality in their existence. And that's the only reason that they might actually get what they want in this. Like I said, the WNBA has been a charity league from day one. It's been like, let's help these women out. They lose $10 million a year. We're going to cover that. We're going to eat it. We're going to send you back out there, lose another $10 million or more. It's okay. We're going to eat it. The league itself has never turned a profit. It's not in good shape either. They have 13 teams now, which, I mean, 27, 28, whatever it is, years in their existence. I think this might be year 29, if I'm not mistaken. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. To only have that few teams, and quite honestly, only a few of them are making money. The Indiana Fever are now making money because of Caitlin Clark and the incredible attendance that they draw in, and the merchandise and the TV ratings. They can charge more money for advertising now. The Golden State Valkyries are currently making money, but they are a new expansion team taking part in this new wave of popularity in the WNBA, which is just that, a wave, and they're into it right now. Will they still be into it 2 or 3 years from now? I don't know. Once right now there a lot of them are tied to the Golden State Warriors too, the NBA, and once Steph Curry retires, who's such a legend up there, is the overall attitude towards basketball going to go away, and is the thrill of this new WNBA thing going to go away? And a lot of questions there. A lot of questions that, quite honestly, don't seem to have a great answer to them if you're the WNBA. So they have no leverage. I mean, they are not entitled to anything. They've been losing money, and they're asking for more money, to be paid more money to go out there and drive fans away. Not only have they lost money, their golden goose, who makes the most money, Caitlin Clark, they have treated her like shit from the word go. They go out of their way to injure her, to hurt her, to just pound her, which is causing her body to already start to break down at 23 years old. She's had to bulk up on weight, which is more what her body doesn't need. And I mean, if I'm the WNBA owners, I got to be saying, I don't know if as long as if Caitlin Clark's not here, we don't make any money. We're back to $10 million, and we're just losing even more money a year on you guys who are not even trying to help make money, not trying to be likable, not trying to be entertaining in any way, shape, or form. And which kind of gets you to who exactly are we talking about with the quote unquote WNBA. The commissioner is Kathy Engelbert. Um, she is about as useless as it gets. But the commissioner is just a puppet for the owners. Now the owners, we're talking, most of these teams are owned by either majority or minority owners in WNBA or NBA teams. And I guess with their relationships with the NBA, they're able to get these organizations up and running, and they're able to get their bailouts when their organization ultimately loses money, so they can make money, so they can pay all their employees, and also put some money in their own pockets, because that's what capitalism's all about. Whether we like it or not, it's kind of rough, but it's kind of how it is. So strictly speaking, from that standpoint, the WNBA has no leverage. And quite honestly, with them going public about it, which is a horrible strategy, you don't hear the NBA or the WNBA owners or Kathy or any of the NBA people involved with this. And by the way, the NBA itself owns like a certain percentage of like investment group into it, which is basically them bailing them out for their losses. Um, they're not saying anything. They don't have to. All they got to do is sit back and listen to the WNBA talk and say, "Oh, so this is your strategy," and know exactly what's going on. They're keeping their cards tight to the chest, at least publicly. Their attitudes and their feelings towards it. Where the WNBA is very open about, we're going to dig in, we're going to go in for the strike. Well, now the owners and the WNBA themselves have they know what they're walking into. They know what their attitudes are, and they know what the strategy is. So that's not very smart at all. There's been a master class by the WNBA on how not to negotiate. And then you throw in the fact that the two of their main people negotiating are Brianna Stewart and Ephesian Collier, who co-own Unrivaled. Now it's an off-season league for women's basketball, but at the end of the day, if the WNBA goes on strike, they're right there to pick up some of these pieces, and some of these ladies who quite honestly need the paycheck. They can pick them and don't really want to go overseas. They can pick them up and maybe do something. Now, Unrivaled, I don't think it's going to last very long. There's people that are committed to making an investment for now, but at the end of the day, they don't really have the billions of dollars behind them, so they can throw a couple 8 figures away every year to help them. And also the other thing is, the NBA's got its own problems. It's funny, in a tweet by the Native Americans Guardians Association, or I forgot what NAGA stands for, but it's the Native American group trying to get Washington's football team to go back to the Washington Redskins, which everybody wants. I'll make a video about that at some point, because they correctly pointed out Commanders is quite honestly whitewashing what should be what was their team, honoring Native Americans, whereas now it's Commanders, which is generally a white thing. Same thing with the Cleveland Indians, but they're trying to get them to bring that back, because the famous logo for the Redskins was actually based on an actual Native American from an actual tribe, and they want it. They loved it, and they want it back. And their tweet, they said, "Okay, with national sanity restored now." So basically saying it's 2025, woke tried their best and have died a brutal, fiery death. So now, if in the past, had the NBA quit giving the WNBA money, there'd have been a lot of people saying, "Oh, that's sexist, that's misogynist," and had a lot of support behind them. Of course, a lot of people are going to say that if they do that now, but there's not going to be that much support behind it. So basically, for the WNBA players, it comes down to this: is the NBA still going to use them as a charity case? Are they still going to fund their charity? Are they going to keep getting allowing these ladies to just spit in their face and tell them they're not doing enough when they're doing way more than they deserve? $10 million a year on average, $40 million last year. I mean, just making no effort to be likable and profitable. I mean, quite honestly, the WNBA's existence is a slap in our face. I've said this before. Other people have said this before. I mean, the rest of us, we go out into the workforce and we have to help our company make money. We might not like our company, we might not like our bosses, but it doesn't matter because if our company doesn't make money, the corporation that runs us is going to shut us down. They're going to shut our center down or whatever, our district or whatever the structure happens to be, and we're going to be out of work looking for a new job. We can't afford for our company to lose money. And, as much as we hate to admit it, even somebody like me who's in the medical care field, there's a part of me that, is keeping track all day of how many, patients we see. Because, that's the more we see, that's the more money we make. And, there's a lot of arguments can be made there, but the fact is that's the fact. And you can't argue with it. And, I'm thinking about that saying, man, that's good. We've had this many people today. It's been busy and I'm a little tired, but, job security, and some days when, we don't have so many, it's like, oof, we have too many more days like this. They might start cutting help and, making it even harder on us and might have to shut this center down. I might have to go to another center further away and, have to, learn their system and all that. But that's something I would just have to do. WNBA is not like that. They get to do exactly what they want, how they want, no matter how off-putting it is, no matter how few fans they bring in, no matter how few TV ratings they bring in, which for every single WNBA player and team, with the exception of Caitlin Clark in its history, has been very unlikable and not brought people in. So, if they're going to hold still to this, they either need to, take exactly what's offered to them, or they can go on strike and kill the league. Which might not be the worst thing in the world, which I'll get to in 1 second, but that's what this exact CBA comes down to. How charitable is the NBA feeling? They signed a heck of a media rights deal, the NBA did. So they're making money, but they got issues. Their ratings are way down. Overall interest in the league's down. The people not liking them, not liking their players is down. Or actually that sentiment's up. They're way too reliant on their old players like LeBron and Kevin Durant and Steph Curry, people that a lot of people are very fatigued by and quite honestly just do not like at all. And at some point they have to transition away from them and into this new generation of people that, with this new style of basketball they've been playing, which is just not fun. So surely they recognize they've got their work cut out for them to, not continue this, hemorrhaging of viewers and ratings right now. So, is this going to be a time where they say, look, we got to focus on this. We don't need to worry about this money pit. We need to get rid of this money pit and, keep this. So they're still profiting well, but, the numbers are heading towards like a bubble bursting, for lack of a better term. So that's one thing the WNBA needs to realize. But like I said, ultimately it just comes down to, are these NBA people who are actually running the show, how generous are they feeling? Or do they want to keep their woke points? Because let's face it, the WNBA is still, they've distanced themselves a lot from politics. They're still a pretty woke league. They're not as bad as the WNBA, who's still stuck in 2020, that cursed year that just we want to forget about ever happened. And you got Nafisa Collier giving a big, speech about George Floyd and police reform in 2025 on the 5-year anniversary of him overdosing on drugs and somehow becoming a big deal and huge deal. And, just they're out of touch and their game's not good to watch. And that's a video I'm probably going to make in a little bit because, probably later today, because maybe they need to just let them go on strike and sit out for an entire year and just kill the original version of the WNBA and maybe come back with a completely revamped version with lower rims, yes. And that's one thing I'm going to talk about in this next video is, the fact they need to lower the rims to 9 feet. And no, it's not for explosive dunks. I have a lot of other reasons. I came across a video that I'm going to reference heavily. He talks about a lot of things that basically you can see and know, but it's hard putting into words. And he just spells it out perfectly, the reason that it's ridiculous that they're playing on a 10-foot rim. Just make the game, it'll make the game a lot better to watch, in my opinion. So that's what I'd do if I was the NBA. or whoever's running this, I'd say no. We're not giving you this money to keep losing money. We're gonna let you shut down for a year, and we're gonna let all the old guard go away. Because at the end of the day, there's one person and one person only in this league that matters. And that's Caitlin Clark. Um, Everybody else is interchangeable. Asia Wilson is interchangeable. Nafisha Collier is interchangeable. Brianna Stewart's interchangeable. If those three just left today, nothing would change in the WNBA as far as money is concerned. It's only with Caitlin Clark that the ebbs and flows happen. This year, her injury has showed it. Interest and viewership hinges a lot on her, and that's with a lot of us becoming attached to her teammates. So their delusion is just so off-putting, and we've stuck with this for a year and a half now since Caitlin Clark arrived. We want to see her play, but I mean, how much longer can we take this? Especially if her body's going to break down. With all this just unnecessary contact, which is another thing I'm going to talk about, and it's just a lot of changes need to happen for this league to ever truly be profitable. Even with Caitlin Clark, she could play for another 12 years at the same profitability she does now, but if the rest of the league doesn't catch up a little bit, which I don't think they will, they're in trouble. So, like I said, it just depends. Is the WNBA going to keep taking the handouts for their losses every year, or are they going to, say okay, or should they, if they're really so independent and worth so much, just say, you know what, we're done. We're out of the WNBA. We're going to this unrivaled deal. We're running our own league. It's completely separate of you. Why aren't they doing that? Because they can't. They need the WNBA's massive charity dump to them. So that's where they stand. That's where the collective bargaining deal stands, and it'll be interesting to see where it winds up. So thank you guys for watching this, and I'll talk to you later.